Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of That Sounds Fun. I'm your host, Annie F. Downs. I'm so happy to be here with you today on this Monday before Thanksgiving. I hope you got to listen to our 10th anniversary episode of That Sounds Fun on Saturday. November 23rd marked 10 years of this podcast, and I still can't believe we get to do this. So if you missed that one, go back and listen. We'll drop it in the show notes as well. Today on the show, I get to talk with my friend, Sadie Robertson Huff. You know and love Sadie around here. This is her fourth time on the show, so close to the Hall of Fun. And her lifestyle devotional that just released called The Next Step. It is so good. You are going to love it. It digs deep into the wisdom books of the Bible, and it's like awesome. It would be such a great gift for the girl in your life who's trying to navigate the next thing, whether that's a new semester at school or figuring out a job change or taking steps towards something they've been dreaming about. Plus, you know, Sadie is like a sister to me, so it's always the best just to catch up. We talk about Dancing with the Stars and being a mom and all sorts of stuff. So all the things that happen for her on her podcast and Live Original, or LO as you hear us call it. I just love her and her work that she is doing for the kingdom. Also this week, we did a little turnabout, and I am on Whoa, That's Good this week as well. So make sure you're subscribed to her show. It is a really fun conversation about how do we do Advent when we don't feel like doing Advent, and how do we continue to wait with hope and honesty and joy and suffering. And we dig into some Hebrews 11. Y'all are going to like it. So that's over on Whoa, That's Good. But here, you're going to like what we talk about too. Here's my conversation with my friend, Sadie Robertson Huff. That sounds fun. Sadie, welcome back to That Sounds Fun.
Thank you, friend. It is truly a joy anytime I get to be on your podcast. Same. Legendary. So I love it. Thank you.
I'm so happy. Okay, now listen, this is your fourth episode, and you should know when you get to your fifth episode, you join the Hall of Fun.
I know about this because I see people on Instagram and I'm like, I will be there one day. One day I will get to, yeah, that's exciting.
I feel like it's really coming down the pike. Yeah, it's going to happen. Okay, so because it's the 10th year of the podcast, we're starting with the question, what sounds fun to you? So tell me what sounds fun to you.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I was thinking about what sounds fun to me this morning, knowing I was going to be on your podcast. So I was like, I'm sure she's going to ask me this question, and I'm going to tell you what sounds so fun. I'm so excited about this. Moana 2 is about to come out.
Right.
And I am so excited to go with Honey because she's so obsessed with Moana. She's already had a Moana birthday party. She keeps saying she wants that to be an ongoing thing. Next year is going to be a Moana birthday party, so we'll see when we get there. But the joy on Honey's face when she watches movies, she's like me. She just takes it all in, and she just smiles. She laughs. She's such a movie watcher. And every time we've gone to the theater since they've had the Moana poster, she wants to take a picture beside it. She gets so excited for it. And so I am genuinely so excited to go see Moana 2 with Honey. That is the most fun thing right now.
And is she 3 or 4?
She's 3.5. She's like, people always ask me, like, she'll watch a whole movie.
Yes, that's what I was about to ask.
She loves movies. She always has. And Christian's a big movie watcher, and I love movies too. And so Haven is not like that. We actually call our little Haven Hey because she's like the chicken. She's like, she is just so funny, and she is so goofy, and she is not going to sit through the movie, but Honey is like all about it. However, Haven is obsessed with Maui. She carries around a little Maui. Great. It's a bath toy. It's like not even soft, and she wants to sleep in the bed with this rock hard Maui. It's hilarious, but yeah, we're big Moana fans.
Have you ever met The Rock?
I have not. If I ever met The Rock at this stage of my life, I would be so starstruck because my kids are obsessed with him. Yeah. And I didn't know I was obsessed with him. But after I got my wisdom teeth out, I confessed my love for The Rock. So there's that. Somewhere deep down, I like The Rock.
There's some real love there. I know. There's people... Like, what got me there is I was thinking about when you were on Dancing with the Stars, and I was like, is there a chance that she like ran into him in the middle of that season of your life?
I did run into the craziest people during that season of my life, but not The Rock. And it's so funny because, like I said, I didn't know I was such a fan till my wisdom teeth video, and I see myself talking about how I'm in love with him. And I'm crying. You know how you're so emotional? I'm like crying that he's in Baywatch with other girls because I'm jealous of them. I'm like, I never even saw Baywatch. Like,
my gosh.
What? In my self-conscious. Anyway, it's so weird. But my girls are also obsessed with him. So we got to meet him someday. Christian might be jealous, though.
Do you watch Dancing with the Stars now?
I do. It's so fun to watch. Like,
I'm so
it's
into it. The
funny.
Olympians have done so well.
They have. It is so fun. The gymnast, Steven, he is so good.
Yeah.
And then Alona, I just love her. I think she's so epic.
Course.
But yeah, it's so fun to watch. Especially, I feel like if you're in that world, you realize how serious they all take it, because to everybody, it's a TV show, and it's like everyone wants the mirror ball, but when you're in that culture, like, they put so much time into every dance. They hold a lot of weight to what the judges say. The scores really matter. They're working so hard. And so I feel like you have a new appreciation for how much you want to cheer them on, how much you want to vote, because it really does matter. And it's just cool. We got to go a couple weeks ago, Christian and I, and it was so fun to step back into that world.
Oh, y'all, you know what? That may be why it's in my brain, Sadie. I may have seen you there. Did you post about it?
I did, because it's been 10 years since I've been on the show, which is just nuts. I was literally such a baby. I was 17. And then Mark, my dance partner, he was judging for the first time. And so the producer texted me and was like, "You should come." And I was like, oh my gosh, it'd be so fun. And that's what's cool too. Like, everyone there, it's been 10 years, but it's the same people. Like, the lady who did all like the body art, which is so funny, but everyone's airbrushed,
Yeah.
She comes up to me, she's like, "Do you want me to paint your body?" It's like the same lady. And I'm like, "Yes, actually, can you? Because that would do me a lot of favor tonight." And then the makeup lady did my makeup. She actually did my makeup for my wedding. Like, it's just so sweet. It really is like such a family, which is just really cool to see in the midst of Hollywood. It's special.
Yeah, I love that show. I think I started loving it because of you and Candace. Like, I think when I was like, I should care, but it does have that vibe like The Bachelor or Bachelorette of they get y'all so in a bubble that it starts to matter so much to y'all. Like, and everybody feels that. Like, that's why The Bachelor works, is they lock them all together and make them care so much. It feels like they do that to the celebrities and the dancers as well.
Oh, it's so true. It is a bubble. Like, it was so funny because going back, I was like, wow, it's like stepping right back into it. Whereas, I've stepped out of it. Obviously,
same
it's just a
room.
season
Is it
of
the
my
same
life.
place?
It's
the same studio?
It looks the same. It's the same people. It's the same feeling. It's very special. It's actually really cool. My security guard, who was my security guard's time, he was actually so huge in my life. He just was such a blessing. Some of the things that he spoke over me and helped me through. And he was the same as Sean Johnson when she was on there. We actually bonded over knowing him and how awesome he was. But it was really cool for Christian to meet him, and he gave Christian a hug. He was like, "I just can't believe how much older you've gotten." Like, it's just a sweet culture in the midst of such a huge Hollywood show.
Did y'all bring the girls with you?
We didn't. Live TV and a 3.5-year-old is a scary thought. I was like, just in case Honey goes rogue, we might not want to be on air with 20 million people watching. So maybe next year.
Tell me about the podcast. Speaking of being a mom, tell me about the podcast you and your mom started.
Yes. Okay. So, hello, Mama. It's been so fun. My mom has been wanting to start a podcast for a while, which I say I think everyone's been wanting my mom to start a podcast for a while. My mom is on my podcast a lot. We have a little series going. Well, I say going. We kind of come in and out of it, but it's messy conversations about topics that people don't really want to talk about, and me and my mom dive into the word about them, which has been so sweet. So from that, everyone's like, "Your mom needs a podcast," because all of the moms love listening to her. And so I was kind of helping my mom brainstorm podcast ideas and what it would look like and all the things. And my mom's like, "Do you care if I do like an LO Mama?" I'm like, "Do I care?" Like, that would be the greatest blessing if you wanted to do that. She was like, "No, I really do," because it's been sweet. Conference year after year for us has been so cool to see how many moms and daughters come together.
It's amazing.
It's very generational. And so the fact that Mom did it under kind of the LO umbrella, and like moms and daughters can kind of even listen to our podcast together, has been really special. She did it with her friend Beth Redmond this run, and it was great. Beth just has so much wisdom to share.
She's
and
unreal.
Then had Maisie and I on, and it was awesome. It's just cool to hear from them and their vulnerability and authenticity. And as you know, I think podcasting is just the greatest platform because you get to know who people are kind of behind the scenes and the screens, which is really special.
Beth is like an all-time favorite podcast guest here. People like go back to that show and just talk. People will talk to me about her show randomly.
Wow.
And she's just so wise. And it's interesting because it's like your mom too. I was saying this to Jeff Henderson. You know Jeff Henderson from Atlanta?
I don't
Do you know who
think
he
so.
is? He used to be the pastor of Buckhead Church. I was talking to him and his wife this weekend, and they have kids that have graduated college as well. And I'm like, okay, start telling everyone how to do it. Like, y'all have got kids that are, and the same is true with your mom and dad of like, yes, keep going. Like, keep telling us how to do that. I think that show is so valuable to so many of us. Even though I'm not raising my own kids, I'm in a lot of villages raising other people's kids with them. And that matters to me to hear people who've done it well.
It does. No, I mean, now as a mom too, I have such a different appreciation and respect. I'm so grateful for how much I have learned from my mom and having that picture in my life. And so the fact that she's giving that to other people, I mean, there have been so many people who have come up to me and said, like, your mom has been like a mom to me. I didn't have that example in my life. And I've learned so much from how to parent from your mom. And so I'm just glad that she's continuing to share because, and just be like, she's like the first to say, I didn't do everything perfect. Let's talk about what I didn't. And I just think that's beautiful and such a gift.
Yeah. So everyone is hearing this the Monday, the week of Thanksgiving. So talk about being a mom during Thanksgiving. How has this changed your Thanksgiving rhythms?
Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, it's just so sweet because I didn't realize this because we're recording this a couple days before that. But the Monday of Thanksgiving is Christian and I's 5-year anniversary because we got married on the Monday of Thanksgiving break.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy anniversary and happy Thanksgiving, but happy anniversary.
It's funny because people are like, you got married on a Monday? I'm like, yes, we did, because Christian was in college and it was finals week the next week. But anyways,
all the hotels had rooms for us, so it worked out great.
Absolutely. That's so funny. But yeah, being a mom definitely changes your rhythm and all the things for sure. I think if anything, kids teach you to go with the flow and to just lean in. You know, it's funny. I was thinking about the rhythms of Thanksgiving. For 3 anniversaries in a row, so 3 Thanksgivings in a row, I got the stomach bug. It was crazy how that happened. Isn't that crazy? And it's like the worst holiday to get the stomach bug because it's like the one that you want to eat, you know? But that was before I had kids and after. And I think that, honestly, I know that's funny, but it teaches you a lot and how to like just sometimes when holidays come around, it's like you want them to feel a certain way. You want them to feel magical. You want them to feel the same as they always have. And sometimes they don't feel that way. Sometimes they're messy. Sometimes you're sick. Sometimes your kids aren't doing what you think they're going to do or whatever. And I think just leaning into like what gratitude really looks like and thankfulness really looks like and how, man, it doesn't have to feel a certain way for it to be the holiday. There's something deeper than that. There's a truth to it and a appreciation for it. And so I don't know if that's the direction I even thought I was going to go, but I feel like I've kind of been on that kick lately, even because I saw you talked about working in a prison and how it kind of changed your perspective. Oh my gosh,
y'all went with God Behind Bars too, didn't you?
Yes. And I think about this because I think this is really what changed my answer for this, my perspective for this, because I was preaching at a prison before the holidays, and they said, hey, I just want you to be really sensitive to the fact that they're going to be spending Christmas in a prison. Yeah. And I just remember thinking, man, like that is so... That's so sad, you know? But then I was able to kind of talk about this, that like, it's not the feeling of the holiday that makes it magical or makes it special, you know? It's really the reason for it is what makes it special. And obviously like the hope that we find in the holidays because of what they're for. And you have to dig deeper for that. And so I think, you know, when you're a kid, you take the holidays as they are. Your parents make it special for you. And we got to remember that as a parent, you know? But also it's like, but what is it for? And really anchoring yourself in that. And I know that sounds cheesy or whatever, but it's so important. And your whole Advent study is speaking right to that. And so anyways, that's kind of a long tangent to say, I think after that prison time, it really made me stop and think about it. And then having 3 sick Thanksgivings back to back in a row, it just taught me like a greater appreciation for what those moments really are for.
I was with a mom this weekend and she has 2 young kids, and she said she's feeling a lot of pressure this year because she read somewhere or heard somewhere this stuck in her brain. And I'd be curious if you feel this pressure, but she heard somewhere that the mom controls the memories of the kids around holidays. That what the mom does determines what traditions the kids hold on to. Do you feel that pressure as a mom?
Gosh, that's a really great question. And you know, like I mentioned, my mom and how I'm so grateful for the example she set. I think I think it's helped me not to feel some of that pressure because what my mom did so good at is, I don't think she did anything perfect and it wasn't very polished, but we have such great memories. And we grew up, I mean, for a long time, especially before the show, like we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have like a lot of fancy things. Like the holidays really were not about the gifts. I honestly couldn't remember. I can maybe remember one gift, or one thing. It's more about the traditions we had. Like our family for Christmas, people laugh at this, but it's just the best. We do like a talent show Christmas Eve. And it's the memories, And so I think like my grandma was such a is still currently such a traditional person. Like she loves to like think of all these new traditions and have fun, and she's done them for 40 years. She still has cookies saved from 40 years ago that people decorated because she saves a cookie every year of our Christmas cookie decoration time. Like they're so into the traditions.
Where does she keep them, Sadie?
In a box in her attic. Her attic is way too big and it has way too many random things. But I say that to say, like, there's no pressure in cookie decorating or, talent shows or whatever it is. Even Thanksgiving, like, I know it's not about the aesthetics. It's not about what you made. It really is about the memories and the fun that you have. Yeah. Even decorating our Christmas tree together was such a memorable tradition for us. And my mom's decorations, I had to give it to her. They weren't very pretty or aesthetic, but, like, they made it so much more fun. And so I guess because I didn't see my mom or my grandma put pressure on themselves, but they had fun in it, I am thankful I don't necessarily feel that way. But I can certainly see how you would, because when you say something like that, the mom creates some memories. It's like, whoa, like that's on me. But at the same time, I think, man, what a cool opportunity to just add some fun into your kids' lives, and it doesn't have to be about what it looks like or how fancy it is, because they literally won't remember. It's about the fun and the games that you put forth.
And when I was thinking back on my childhood and all of this, I feel like so many of our traditions, the whole family kind of jumped in and created together. Like, it's not like we all sat on the couch and waited for my mom to tell us the next thing we were doing. It's that we all kind of jumped in together and made the things.
Yeah, it kind of just comes about. It's so funny because we have a mutual friend, Jenna Claire. And I know she's been on your podcast. She was just here in town on mine, and we were talking about traditions. And she starts talking about her family's holiday tradition that they would go from room to room and they would sing this Christmas song. And like in each room, it was like,
not surprise me at all,
the story of Jesus. And I started laughing.
Oh my gosh, it was like a it was like a nativity scene.
It was like nativity scene, and it was the same song that they sing in every room.
True.
And I started laughing, and I said, Jenna Claire, I'm not laughing at your story because I think that's so beautiful because I know your voice. And I'm sure that was such a powerful tradition for your family. But I'm laughing thinking if my family did that tradition, it would be the funniest thing ever because we can't sing.
Yes.
Like, it would just tank. And so I say that to say, too, like, you can't put your pressure on yourself to do other people's traditions. Like, it might just not fit with your family's heart, what you do, or your talents or your gifting. And I think you create those special memories based off of who you are as people. I mean, even our Christmas talent show, it's funny because each of the families bring their unique talent, and most of the other families have talents, like legitimate talents. Our family does not. Like, we do not have like talent show talents. Like, we can't sing or play an instrument or do sign language, like the things that you would do in a talent show. And so we always come up with a funny skit because that's so who we are.
Yeah.
And, I think that's a good word for even just the traditions that you make them based off of who you are and who your family is. Yeah. And man, with social media, we know it can be so much pressure to look at other people and be like, we should do that. And I think that's where the pressure comes into play for sure.
Do y'all do matching pajamas at Christmas?
We do matching pajamas. Same. My grandma, I think she did say last year was the last year. It's gotten a little too big for my grandma to carry it on. But you know what's sweet though? I was looking for matching Christmas pajamas for my family last night, knowing that we might not do that with my grandma, but that's the beautiful thing about the generations and the legacy. You learn from your parents, and then you're like, I'm going to carry this on. Yes. So that's funny that you asked that.
Well, you know what's funny? That's what I was doing last night. Because I'm in charge of Christmas pajamas. That's like what it's been really fun because now much like y'all, we have split some of the responsibilities amongst us. No one has split up cooking, but my mother still handles all of that. But the fun things like stockings and Christmas pajamas and all that stuff, we've all kind of started splitting up as adults. And so one of my responsibilities is pajamas. So I got on that last night. That was my to-dos.
I love it. You'll have to send me the link you're looking at later because I was looking, but so much was sold out where I was looking at. So you have to send it to me.
Yes, I will send it. I can't say what the theme is yet but I will send it to you. And that's one of the reasons I did it last night, Sadie, is that last year I waited till after Thanksgiving and the patterns, and we have so many different size people that if you don't get it early, you can't get a theme.
I know, it is crazy. I was I'm before Thanksgiving this year and it's still sold out. People are on it. I feel like Christmas is sooner this year. Like everyone,
it's because Thanksgiving is so late.
That's true. That is true. I'm like, why is everyone so on top of it? And I feel behind, but it's not even Thanksgiving yet.
It's because Thanksgiving is like a week later than it usually is. So I'll send you the link today. You're going to love what we're doing. Hey friends, just interrupting this conversation to tell you about one of our incredible partners, Lumen. Y'all know I love this thing. If you don't know what it is, Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. You know how people are always talking about your metabolism, but you don't actually understand how all of that works? Well, this is where Lumen comes in, and it is so fascinating. It's this device that measures your metabolism through your breathing. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs. It gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, your workouts, sleep, and even stress management. It is so cool. I love my Lumen. Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, just so you know exactly what's going on in real time. When I tell you I breathe into it all the time, I breathe into it every time I'm breathing into it. So I'm telling you, you're going to love it. Being a science experiment is very fun. So if you want to stay on track with your health this holiday season, just go to lumen.me/TSF and you're going to get 15% off your Lumen. That is lumen.me/TSF, like that sounds fun, for 15% off your purchase. Lumen makes a great gift too. So thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. That link and pretty much every other link you could ever hope for, like to Sadie's episode or to our episode from Saturday, are all in the show notes below, or we will send it straight to you Friday in the AFD Week in Review. Now, we aren't sending one this Friday because it's the holidays, so make sure you're checking the show notes below. But if you aren't getting that email, we hope it's the best email of your week. So go ahead and sign up for that in the show notes as well. Okay, now back to our conversation with Sadie. Okay, so the other thing we're celebrating is the release of your new book. It is a 50-day Devo called The Next Step. Sadie, it's so good. So this is a great week for people to hear about this too, because this is like, put this in everyone's stocking, or this is a great end of year gift. Why 50 days? I'm so curious why you picked 50 days.
Well, we did it like weeks, okay? So we did like the week thing, which ended up being around 50 days, how we did it. And I think it just, like you said with the stocking stuffer, I think it really is the perfect thing to start the new year. I kind of was like, should this book release in the new year? But I'm glad we put it out a little bit before so people can get ready for it.
Yes.
But yes, it is the perfect stocking stuffer and start to the new year. It's literally called The Next Step. So it's kind of, what am I going to do next? But I love talking about the backstory behind this because I think whenever people think about the next step, it sounds like, oh, like a big step that you're taking. This book is not like a huge step. It's not like, what's your career going to be? Where you're going to move? Where's your job going to be? It's not about that. It's really about those little, like being confident enough just to take the next step of your day, your next step in life. And that's really where the heart behind it comes from, is the verse where it says, your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. And one of my good friends, Emily, sent me an oil lamp one time from that verse. And I was so shocked because the oil lamp was tiny. And I was like, is this how tiny it really was in the Bible days? And she said, yeah, that's the power behind it. She said, a lot of people think about that verse, your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Like the lamp is going to light the whole path for them. Like it's this giant, like, fiery lamp. You see the whole thing. And she said, but that's not what that verse is saying. And that's not how life is. You're not going to see the whole path. She said, this little oil lamp would have literally just been able to light up the next step you're going to take. And that word from her was such an encouragement to me. And That's what the devotional is. It's teaching you how is God in your every step, in your every day, and the mundane moments of life, just being confident enough to wake up in the morning, get with the Lord, and take the next step in your day. And I think people need that. I mean, I need that. Oh my gosh. Like, this book has ministered to me before anybody because it got me in the rhythm of sitting with the Lord in the morning, and I'm grateful for that.
All 10 weeks are around wisdom chapters or wisdom, the books of the Bible. Why'd you pick that? What is it about those? Because I love them too, but what is it for you that stood out?
So this was the first, originally I wanted to do like a Whoa, That's Good devotional because the whole premise of my podcast is I ask people the best piece of advice they've ever been given, and then they tell me, and then we go off of this like amazing piece of wisdom, this piece of advice. And obviously like the best wisdom is from the Bible, and this is the most Whoa, That's Good book of all time. It's like you will say Whoa, That's Good the whole time you read it, and especially the wisdom book. I mean, we were actually doing this morning. We were just reading like little proverbs, like one proverb, and we're like, whoa, that's so good. Like truly, there's so much wisdom in that, and it applies to our life daily. And it's a lifestyle book, and I'd never done a lifestyle book before, and I was like, this is so cool because I think sometimes whenever you write like a book, I mean, you know this, it's like, so sometimes it feels so vulnerable, so heavy, all these things, but this was like, what does it just look like in our everyday life, day to day, week by week? How do we take this wisdom from the Bible and these wisdom books from someone like Solomon who prayed for wisdom and got it and spoke these into our lives? How do we take this and actually apply it to our day? And so I hope there's more of this series of Whoa, That's Good, but we wanted to start with wisdom book because it just felt right.
It's so good. Can we, the 10th week, you talk about Psalm 23. And I have had 2 different organizations ask me to come and do like a chapel for their chapel service, a church and an organization here today and tomorrow. And they both asked for the same idea around Psalm 23. So it feels like there's something kind of bubbling around me about Psalm 23. So
cool.
I don't know if you have your Bible near to you, but I know you know Psalm 23 very well in your heart. But will you talk about that Psalm for a minute? I mean, you did a whole week on it. What is it about Psalm 23 for you? And then I brought my notes from my teaching. I'm going to get you to help me make it a little bit better before I do it tomorrow. So
oh my gosh.
Tell me your thoughts on Psalm 23.
I love this. And you know what really, obviously, I've heard it all growing up, but what really taught me Psalm 23 is if gathering, when we focus on Psalm 23. Right. And to be honest with you, when Jenny, you know how if gathering is always like over one chapter or one thing, and then she's like, here's your verse and your verse and your verse. That's always very hard for me because I'm like, I'm always one of those people where I like to tell like a story. So I'm like reading a book and I want to talk about Jonah and all of the chapters in Jonah, or Joshua and all of it. And so when Jenny sends me this verse, the first time I didn't understand the assignment. And so I went too many verses, and then Bianca went before me and I was like, oh, that was her verse, but this is like, and so anyways, I say all that to say Psalm 23, I remember reading it and the part that I had, and I was thinking, man, this whole thing is so rich, but it's short. And how are all of these speakers going to go through this? And we're going to learn all these different perspectives. And then I sat there for 2 days and I learned so much. And I don't mean to bring up that your Advent study again, but I'm going to keep bringing it up because I love it. And we're going to talk about it later on my podcast. But when we talk about Psalms 1, it's one of my favorite verses. And it talks about meditating on the word day and night. I think that if gathering really displayed what it looks like to meditate on something and learning. As I still have the image of Ann Voskamp bringing out the sheep and
bringing out the little lamb.
That was just amazing. Bringing out
so
that,
sweet.
and then like just the different perspectives. Jada on slowing down. I got to talk about, even though I walked through the valley of the shadow of death, and just like we meditated on it, and I gained so much from it. And so in the same way, I wanted to write it in the book as a week because I wanted it to be something that people really meditate on. We talked about goodness and mercy and all of the things, but gosh, there's so much in Psalms 23 that you can just meditate on and constantly go back to. I think there's a reason why people go back to it. It's a reason why you had 3 people at the same time talking about it, because it's something that it never gets old. There's something that there will be a different part of it in different seasons of your life that you'll need to hang on to. And I'm thankful for that. So yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to have it as a whole week, because throughout those 2 days at If Gathering, I still remember all of that.
I told the group this morning, and I'm telling the group tomorrow morning, my challenge I'm doing, and I'm inviting them to do, and our listeners to do, is to read Psalm 23 once a day for the rest of the year. Just once a day. You can switch versions. You can read it straight from your Bible, but there is something so comforting about that whole chapter. I'll tell you the thing that I learned this week that I would love your thoughts on, that I had never, I sat down with Psalm 23 and with Blue Letter Bible. And do you ever use that app?
I don't know. I should.
Dude, it is unbelievable. It gives you the original word, how many times it's used in Scripture.
I love that kind of stuff. I need this.
You use another concordance, but Blue Letter Bible makes it so easy because it's just an app. But when they were talking about the rod and the staff, they said that often the staff, what I always pictured is the staff around the neck of the sheep. And they said more often that the shepherd would grab the sheep around the chest. Wow. Around their heart, like behind their front legs, to help redirect them. Wow. And I was like, that changes that whole verse to me.
It does.
If my heart is involved and not my neck. What do you think about that?
That is huge. I love that. And I'm listening to a book right now on audio. It's John Comer's parents wrote it, called Raising Passionate Jesus Followers. Yeah. And this was the week on discipline. And it was talking about the rod and the staff. Well, some at the rod, like parenting the discipline with the rod. But then it brings up Psalms 23 as like a reminder that this is a comforting thing, but it didn't have that in there. And I'm like, wow, like, yes, it's comforting. And that even backs up even more so that it really was it was a grabbing of the chest and an embrace that changes everything. Because I've been thinking about that with disciplining our kids. Like, it's so interesting because this was what the book was talking about too. Like, obviously, when you discipline or whenever you're doing something, it's for their good. It's for the better of them. But it's hard, in those moments. But what I have realized with Honey, and I'm like, am I like soft because of this, or is this true? I'm like, she really doesn't need like harsh correction. She really does need me to like get down on her level and hug her and just sit with her and like maybe not even say anything, or maybe just ask her how she's feeling. And I think that like I sometimes would see parenting styles like that and think, oh no, like, they need like the correction. And sometimes you do, but like to think about it as in like a grabbing their chest and just a redirection and almost like even like a hug, but like a certain one that like your hands are on them. They know that you're redirecting, but like you love them, is honestly so powerful. I'm going to be thinking about that all day.
Dude, me too. I sat at this coffee shop on Sunday working on this and just going like line by line through Blue Letter Bible and looking up what all the original were. And I was like, by the chest? No one's ever said that to me. And maybe it was one shepherd who did it and the rest of them do it by the neck. But that matters to me. That makes that whole verse feel so different to me.
Wow. Well, even your rod and your staff, they will comfort me. It just, again, it affirms what it's saying, gives you a visual for that. I really will. I won't read that the same. I won't think about it the same. That's beautiful. I love that.
The other one I thought was interesting that I would love to hear your thoughts as a mom who is very busy. Y'all have a lot going on. Is he makes me lie down in green pastures. It's not lying down like a tipping cow. It's lying down like all four of your legs are tucked up under you.
Wow.
And so it's almost like wherever you're standing, you lie down right there. Right?
That is so good. I love that. And this is so applicable to my life. I'm like, thank you, Annie. Again, meditating on it. You can write a week about it. You can sit in 2-day conference about it. You can read it every day and you're going to learn more every single time. Yes. I've actually been learning that recently. I had this moment where we were so full. Our days were just really full recently. And I had gone through this whole day of work and then got home and a whole night of all the kids stuff and got them to bed. Then I was like, okay, I have to study for this message that I'm preaching tomorrow and all the things. And Christian came up to me and he said, go to bed. And he's like, you don't need to study anymore. Like, God has you. He's spoken to you. You know the word. Like, nothing you're going to do right now in cramming is going to help you any more than what God has already given you to say. He said, this message will not be less anointed than any other one because you didn't stay up 2 hours extra and study tonight. He said, go to bed. And it was such a gift that I had him just speak that truth over me. And I laid down and I went to bed. And guess what? The next day, it was so powerful. And then even for me, I got to know, like, that was me depending on the Lord. That was like going to bed is saying like, I trust you, God. I trust you that you have me. Like you're leading me to this place to lie down. And like, I trust that when I sleep, you're singing songs over me. You got me. You're renewing my strength. And it's been a powerful thing I think I've been learning in this season of life. And I know it sounds funny, but is to like go to bed and like not keep working, not keep doing, because that's doing it in my own strength instead of just letting God actually renew my strength in the night, you know, and wake up and lean on him. So I love that. That's beautiful.
I just have had the most fun cutting up Psalm 23 in the last couple of weeks. But I don't know how you get home. I genuinely don't know, because your life and my life run at fast paces. And like for the last 2 nights, I've canceled my evening plans because I just was done at the end of the day and couldn't opt for anything else. And so I go buy Christmas pajamas on my computer. But I don't know how y'all do it where there are little people who need you and you're exhausted. I just don't know how you do it.
Well, that's kind. I will say I have awesome little people. And like I said, they like to watch movies. And so I'll be honest, last night I'm like, hun, want to just watch a movie? And I'm sitting there laying with her watching a movie. And I'm not even going to lie. I watched my Netflix show on my phone right here while we were watching a movie together. So sometimes you just really do have to find that time to rest. And again, it is hard. And with little people, it is hard. A lot of times, you know, you don't get that. But last night I did get that. And I think, again, like the parenting pressure, sometimes you're like, oh, do I need to do more? Do I need to do this? The screen time, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes you just have to let it go and be like, you know what? Let them be a kid. And like, you're a good mom. And just sit down and watch some movie with them. And if you're watching a show too, guess what? They don't even know. You know? It's like, I don't know. I think we need to be nicer to ourselves.
I spoke at a mom's conference a couple of weeks ago. You're going to love this, Sadie, because I planned to talk. I sat with the Lord. I did all the things. And the only thing I felt like the Lord said to me was, tell them you are the fun mom. And I was like, well, that's great. That's 8 seconds and I've got 29 minutes. So I'm going to need you to help me. And I said that to them. I was like, I'm going to keep saying some other things because I have a clock, but I'm telling you, that's the thing God told me to come and tell you is that you are the fun mom for your kid. You are the fun mom until you tell them different. And so you are the mom. And so even those moments, what you're talking about of like, how do you find rest and how in the middle of all this, there is this invitation to remember that you're the right mom for your kids.
Oh,
like
man,
you are the one.
That's such a gift. I always tell my friends who are pregnant that because they're like nervous and am I going to be a good mom? And I always say you are the best mom for your kid because God gave you them. You are the best mom. And obviously, like, do not abuse that fact. Do not overlook that fact. Like, be the best mom for your kids. But you are the best mom because you're their mom, because you're their mother. And it's so true. Like, you got to just and know, again, like the fun mom is taking the pressure off yourself and just being fun, you know? Like last night, it was a lot of times we're like, oh, we don't just want her to watch movies, all this stuff. But last night was a movie night. We watched the Elf movie, which not the Elf movie we watched. We watched a different Elf movie. And then we watched Barbie and the Nutcracker, and she loved it.
I love Barbie and the Nutcracker.
I know, that was one of my favorite. I just was telling Honey, I was like, honey, I watched this with my sister, with Beba. That's what she calls Bella. I said, I watched this with Beba, and this just feels like my childhood, you know, and it's just sweet. And so, take the pressure off. And that is hard to do. That's a lot easier said than done. But it's also in simple ways that you can do that.
Hey friends, just interrupting this conversation one more time to tell you about one of our incredible partners, Shopify. Our Advent series called Stay Tuned starts on Sunday, and we have been able to get it to your inbox and shipped to your door because of Shopify. They make it so easy, and our behind-the-scenes magic of shopanniefdowns.com is Shopify. If you're a business owner and trying to sort out setting up an online store, or you're getting ready to open a brick and mortar store, check out Shopify. For millions of businesses, including other familiar names like Magic Spoon and Thrive Cosmetics, Shopify is the machine behind the sales. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify, and the Shop Pay feature boosts conversions up to 50%. What that means is way less carts go abandoned, so it equals way more sales. If you're a business owner, you know that matters. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Thrive Cosmetics and ShopAnnieFDowns.com uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at Shopify.com/soundsfun, all lowercase. Again, that's Shopify.com/soundsfun to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/soundsfun. And now back to finish up our conversation with Sadie. I have another question from the book.
Yes.
All these pictures that are, it is beautiful. Did y'all do those in Louisiana, or did you travel for those? Where are all those pictures?
So we did half and half. We did all the ones of me are in Louisiana, and then the other ones are in LA, Los Angeles.
Yes.
And because I had a sweet friend photographer who was based in LA, we were like, you know what, go around LA, take some great pictures. And then she came to Louisiana and did the pictures for us.
Yeah.
But we wanted it, again, it's a lifestyle book. We wanted it to feel like life and look like life. And also I feel like Live was my first picture book to ever put out, and it did really well. But the reason I want to do pictures is because everybody's so obsessed with social media, and people aren't reading as much anymore. And I wanted it to kind of feel like that and be like an introduction back to reading, or maybe to reading for the first time.
Yes.
And I have so many people come up to me and say I started reading because of Live, and it was such an easy book to read because the chapters were like blogs and the pictures were really great. But there was a lot of wisdom in there, and so I love picture books. I love picture books.
I'm so interested in it because I would love for you to talk about this for a second. I'm curious what your perspective is, because it's a little bit been your whole public life. But when I got to come to Low Conference, one of the things I noticed, and what I think I noticed in the book when you do photo shoots there, is y'all are like really changing y'all have massive economic impact on your town when you bring thousands of women there. Right? And the attention you draw. Talk to our friends listening, because there are people who own boutiques, who are pastors at churches, and everyone lives in a town. What is it? What kind of advice would you give to people as they want to make economic impact like y'all do, or just like cultural impact on your small town and help it to grow? How have you experienced that? And can you see that you doing that the way I can see you doing that?
I love that. Yes, I love that question because I love where we live so much. And it's such a blessing that our conference is able to be a boost for our city. And because of that, we have gotten so many people in our city involved with conference, which has been just such a huge blessing. I mean, the plant people, are like, LO conference now. And then like the boutiques and all the different things, like seeing our city come together for something like, women coming to encounter the Lord is like the most beautiful thing. But I will say one thing I do feel passionate about, and advice to give to others who live in small towns or whatnot, is I used to be, and I still am, I really don't like when people talk down about where they live, in the sense of like people are negative about it. Like people will be like, you live in West Monroe, like what is there to do there? Or people in West Monroe being like, oh, I hate where I live. There's nothing to do. I'm like, no, don't, like, you are the fun thing. Your family's the fun thing. Your house can be the fun thing. Yes. And I just feel like how we talk about it, it shapes it. And so I feel very passionate that like as our city is revived spiritually, it will be revived physically.
Yeah,
I think that the way we speak about it, the way we talk about it, the way we get people excited about it. And I genuinely mean those things. I really do love it. And there's something about the love for it that brings people in and make other people love it. Yeah. And I just think that like so many people, they have a talent or they have something special and then they bring it to a big city, which is great. And God is obviously using that in big ways, but some people need to stay in the small town. You got to use your gifts right where you have you. And actually I posted about this yesterday because Lainey Wilson, who is
I saw that. I didn't know she was from West Monroe.
When I was in 6th grade, she was a senior and she did her Hannah Montana impersonation at our school.
Oh my gosh.
But like no one knew it was her until, everyone knew it was Lainey, but not now. It's Lainey Wilson. You say it's so impressive, but it was just so sweet because I was like, man, God is not limited to your small town. He
Yes.
he is just as big in your small town as he is in any city. He does not shrink to the size of the workspace you live in, the town that you live in, the job that you have. He is going to stay big. So it's, do you expect that of him? Do you dream like that? I think about, you are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden.
Right.
Don't light a lamp, put it under a stand, put it on top so that everyone can see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. That is like my life verse. And I feel that for our town. So I love that you said that.
It's that like the scripture, it says, when your city prospers, you'll prosper. Mm-hmm. And you just go like, okay, what can I do to help my small town, wherever you live, to prosper? Whatever size town you're living in, what are you doing to help your city prosper?
Yep.
And it's just fun, Sadie, like watching the coffee shops respond to so many people being there, and the boutiques putting out signs, and there's certain sales because you're bringing everybody in. I just went, oh, this is what it looks like to be a part of your city prospering. Yeah. And I do live in I live in Nashville and New York, and so my brain has to think, what in the world could I do for New York City?
Oh, like, so much so.
Yeah, maybe. I hope so, right? So, so talk for a second to people who live in bigger cities that feel I know exactly what to do in a small town, but I don't know if I want to do it. And then there's I live in LA, I live in New York, I live in London, I live in Atlanta, I live in Dallas. I have no idea how I can impact the city.
Yeah, that's great. I think the same verse applies. You are the light of the world. I mean, it's so important. I think so many people are looking around thinking, I wish somebody would do something about how dark it is. And I'm like, hello, friend, it's you.
That's you.
You are the light of the world. Like, Jesus didn't say, that the influencers are the light of the world. He wasn't saying that the government's light of the world. He wasn't saying that it wasn't the people you expected him to say that to. He was talking to his disciples and people who showed up on a mountainside. He said, world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Don't light a lamp, put it under sand, put it on top. And I think about that in a city. They're dark. There's hard things happening, but like, you are called to be that light. You bring something so special. So again, it's how you talk about it. It's how you frame it. It's what you think about it. If you think it's too big for you, then it will be too big for you. If you think you can handle it, you can handle it. And I think that's like something about, I've noticed this as I've gotten older, and I know I'm not old, but some people rolling their eyes are like, as you've gotten older. But I've gotten older since, I started doing all this. It was a lot easier to believe those things without that voice of doubt in the back of your head whenever I was younger. Yeah. Like when I was a teenager in early 20s even, I was just like, we can change the world, And I still believe that 100%. I think we're called to that. I can't not believe that. But at the same time, it is harder to believe that as you just see what the world is and how many problems it is. And you get so discouraged. And I think it's like one of those things that as I've seen that begin to creep into my mind, like, oh, I can see why older people talk like that. I can see why you would start to think like that. I have to go back to scripture and go, okay, that's true, but this is what the Lord said we're to do in it, Yeah. And so, man, I get it. I get the discouragement. I get why it feels overwhelmed, why it feels big, why your town feels so small, why there's frustration in it. But I think if you cling to like the word and what God calls you to, and you got to keep that belief, or else like you won't do it. You won't be a part of that light. Sadie. You won't be a part of that movement. When we decided to do conference in Monroe, there was every reason in the world why we should not have done it. We don't have enough hotel rooms. We still don't. We don't have Uber drivers like we need to have. We don't have like so many different things. But we felt so called that the Lord said, do it there. And we have seen God do so much because of the fact that we decided to plant there. And God has provided everything we need, to the point of like some girls that didn't have hotel rooms that fell through when they got here. My grandma kept them in her house. We had other ladies from the church keep people in their house. And then that ended up being like a God story. So it's amazing. Like if you trust the Lord to do something bigger than you're capable of doing, he will do it, and he will far exceed it. And he will provide the things that you need in the moments that you need them.
Yeah. I mean, if we believe Psalm 23 is true, and surely goodness and mercy follow us all the days of our lives, that they followed us to wherever we live. Goodness and mercy followed us to wherever we live. And so we have to believe that there must be goodness and mercy for our town through our lives, right?
Yep. True. That's so true. I love it.
Processing that real time. I'm making sure that's true. I think it's true.
No, I totally believe it. I love that. I'm so like that. I'm like, yeah, no, it is. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love that. You always got to have those checks. And we were actually just talking about this earlier about worship songs, and how sometimes you're like belting worship songs and then you're like, is that true? No, it is
Yeah.
true. And I remember we were talking about Firm Foundation because one of my very favorite worship songs.
Yes.
I literally wrote the words on a canvas in my house. It's the first thing you see when you walk in our house in my messy handwriting when I was holding Haven, and I love it because it's just what I want our house to stand for.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time hearing that song, and it said, I've never been more glad, and it's right after it says, when everything around me is shaking, I've never been more glad. And I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, what? Because I was thinking about in the context, like, when everything around me is shaking, I've never been more glad. That's not true. But it's, I've never been more glad that I put my faith in Jesus. He's never let me down. And then I'm like, that is truth, you know? And so, it's so cool whenever you take these scriptures and apply them to your life. Sometimes you're like, is that true? Because maybe I don't feel the goodness and the mercy right now. No, it is true, actually, because beyond what I feel right now, the mercy goes way back to the cross, And so, man, sometimes you got to dig a little deeper to discover the truth, but it is there and it is real, and it changes you.
That's it. And by the way, you did a super fun job of putting songs in the devotional too. I love that. I love a playlist. So every week you giving people songs to listen to was so cool. That was a great bonus.
Well, that's my favorite thing. So that.
I mean, every single week, multiple songs. I loved it. You look so cute too. All the pictures are so good. Is there anything we didn't talk about that you want to make sure we cover?
I think you covered it. I love it. Yeah, the worship songs in there. There's so much scripture in there. Some questions. It's really, the hope is that it will get you in the habit of sitting with the Lord and seeing Him in your everyday life and your every step you take. So you crushed it. Thank you for having me back on. That sounds fun.
Anytime.
One shy away from
one more. The next one is the best one. The next one's the best one.
That's right.
And we'll just remind everybody as well, January 6th is the first Monday. So you don't have to start your new rhythms on January 1st. You've got all of next year. If you want to start this on a Monday, start it on Epiphany. You'll be fine.
That's great. I love it. You're the best.
Release the pressure. All right. Love you, Sadie. Thanks for doing this.
Love you, Fred.
Oh, you guys, isn't she the best? Oh my gosh, I love her so much. She's so brilliant. I love how we chopped up Psalm 23. She goes even deeper into it in her new book, The Next Step. It's a great gift idea for any young adult in your life and just great for you. It's beautiful. It'll look great on your side table wherever you're sitting and reading, but the insides are even better. Make sure you're following Sadie on social media. Tell her thanks for being on the show and thanks for having me on her show. Don't forget, you can go and listen this week to me and her chatting it up on Whoa, That's Good. If you enjoyed this episode, I think you're going to love that one. And you'll also love any of the previous episodes with Sadie or our most recent episode with her dad, Willie. And that was episode 894. If you have any questions from this episode, just drop them in the Q&A box in your Spotify app if you're a Spotify listener, or send them to us on Instagram at That Sounds Fun Podcast. We're going to answer them there. If you need anything else from me, I'm embarrassingly easy to find. Annie F. Downs on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, anywhere you need me, that's where you can find me. And I think that's it for me today, friends. Go out or stay home. Do something that sounds fun to you, and I will do the same. Today, what sounds fun to me is hanging out with my nephew. I love a week with family. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you back here on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, with none other than our buddy Eddie Koffoltz. What better way to kick off your turkey trot or your Thanksgiving Day parade watching, or maybe if you just need to go on a walk after the meal alone with your AirPods in, I get it. You'll love this conversation with Eddie. We'll see y'all Thursday.
That sounds fun. That sounds fun. Oh, that sounds fun. Check 1, 2 on the microphone. Annie F. Downs in your car to your home. Every week it's something new. A deep talk or an interview. She'll make you laugh, she'll make you cry. When it's dark out, she's a light. When you're down, get you feeling right. Oh man, that sounds fun. That sounds fun. That sounds fun.